sucks the rainbow connection right out of you. But you know, even in those early days, I was fascinated by the creative impulse and how to get started. And I realized that being creative is a lot like living in the swamp. First and foremost, you've got to stay alive. You need to avoid being eaten by alligators or attacked by snakes or even pigs. In other words, you need to make a living, and you got to feed and clothe yourself and your family. And whether you're in a Mississippi swamp or, I don't know, maybe Midtown Manhattan or Silicon Valley, it can seem easier and safer to avoid risk than to take creative chances and let your mind run free. We're also worried about making a living and not getting devoured by alligators or competitors, that we kind of start believing that there's no time for being creative. Creativity, we think, is for artists. Imagination and inspiration, well, those are just words we use around kids. But for grown-ups, well, those are just nice words in some corporate mission statement. Our real job is to make a living. Well, folks, I am here to say that is wrong, or at least self-deceptive, you know? Because I believe creativity is an inherent part of everyone. To again quote Sir Ken, creativity is the true engine of our economy. It's the very essence of invention and innovation. And I believe that's true. And when you find that place in your life to be creative, you make the world a better place to live in. So, now that I have declared that everyone is in fact creative, where do you start to tap into this creativity? And the answer is anywhere. Now, Michelangelo, for instance, started with a block of marble, and he famously said, "I saw the angel in the marble and carved until I set it free." But you know, some people start with test tubes and beakers, or they come up with a better way to mop the floor, or a more effective way to achieve flight, even on a motorcycle. Some people work in a kitchen, some people work in politics, and others, well, they do as little as possible and figure out a way to get paid for it. In other words, there are as many ways to be creative as there are Muppets. And believe you me, there are a lot of Muppets. And I don't know, I got to meet payroll every week. But to get started, sometimes you have to take a chance. You know, Michelangelo chipped away at a lot of stone before he found his angel. And Albert Einstein, well, he scribbled a lot of numbers before he came up with his theory of relativity. And of course, then there's Ron Popeil. He burned tons of chickens before he could set it and forget it with that rotisserie oven right there. Yes. But all of those people had one thing in common, folks. They didn't wait to know where they were going before they started their journey. They each had what Jim Henson liked to call ridiculous optimism. Yep, that's right. Without that, we would not even have this amazing world we live in. And heck, without that, without ridiculous optimism, there's a good chance none of us would be here today. I mean, let's face it, if our mothers weren't ridiculously optimistic, they probably wouldn't have gone out on that second date with our fathers. As the saying goes, if necessity is the mother of invention, then creativity is the father. Which means, on some cosmic level, we are all the children of necessity and creativity. Ooh, that made my head hurt. If you guys could just, excuse me just a sec. Love iced tea. Nice. Excuse me. Wow, that was really good. Where were we? Excuse me. Oh, right, passion. So, passion, let's see here. Not that kind of passion. No, I mean the passion to do something creative because you can't not do it. That's the most important thing to me. Not doing it is not an option. Right? Can I get an amen? Amen. Thank you, folks. That's fun. Oh, that's fun. Now I know why they do that. Yeah. I mean, sure, we all have to earn a living, but we also shouldn't be afraid to wander off down the trail of creative risk-taking once in a while and explore a whole different way of thinking and living and doing. Now, the great 20th century surrealist Salvador Dali, who incidentally looks a lot like a good friend of mine, Boomerang Fish Thrower New Zealand, he said, "Have no fear of perfection, you will never reach it. So the point of that is to never worry about failure, because it's going to happen. But that's okay. Go ahead and take chances. And you might just find that what feels like failure isn't failure at all. It's what inspires you to dream even bigger. So be thankful for the good and the not so good, you know? It's just part of getting better at the things you do and at being you. I mean, discipline and focus is important, but so is controlled and inspired chaos. And we need to encourage each other to take chances and sometimes fail. And yes, our critics can be harsh and relentless.
That was terrible.
Horrendous.
I'm offended.
I'm appalled.
Yeah. But it's chaos mixed with failure and all kinds of inspiration and perseverance that raised me up out of this fertile ground of Mississippi mud and made the Muppets possible. Now, another one of my favorite quotes is from the 19th century French poet Charles Baudelaire, who also kind of looked like New Zealand. But anyway, he said, "Genius is no more than childhood recaptured at will." Now, I got to tell you folks, besides Sir Ken Robinson, there's this other guy named Ken that I really like to pay attention to, and his name is Ken Wilber. You might even say that when it comes to humans, I have a real kinship with Kens. And then again, you might not. Send that note to Fozzie as well.